Hello, everyone. It's Michele Maher here, and I'm joined with Antionetta Botticelli. Thank you so much, Antonetta, for giving me your time to talk about what we've been going through the past several months and keeping a positive mindset and pivoting in our life and our business. So thank you. If you want to give us a few words about who you are and what you're all about.
Yes, thank you. I'm so excited to be here. I really appreciate the opportunity for me to be on your platform. I've heard so many great things about you and what you've been doing. So thank you so much. I am truly honored. My name is Antonetta, and I basically, I've created a low impact group fitness class that I've turned into virtual now, but I'll explain that later. But basically a little bit about myself is I've done a 360 complete change in my entire life. And what does that mean? That means back in 2016, I was working full time in the corporate industry, and I was a project manager in the construction field. And at that point in my life, I was a full-blown diabetic. I had 20% chance of dying. I should have died when I was diagnosed as a diabetic. I was in the hospital for a couple of days. And, I was in a very unhealthy state, mentally, physically, and emotionally. And I wasn't even able to walk 20 minutes a day. So how did I change my life? Well, I said yes to a lot of different things. And I said yes to taking control of my health by going into a weight loss program, which caused me to lose 141 pounds, which allowed me to kick diabetes to the curb, which allowed me to, move 20 minutes more a day, which led me to now being a fitness instructor, which is totally crazy. I still can't believe it, but that's basically me. And I quit my corporate job and I became a woman entrepreneur. And that's how I did it. It's nuts. When I say it out loud, I can't even believe it myself.
Well, yeah, that's an incredible story. And what period of time was this over?
What was over? Sorry.
How long? How long was this, making the decision that you were going to do something about your health and to losing the 140 pounds?
Yes. So in 2014, I was diagnosed as a diabetic. In 2016, this is a funny story, but a friend of mine says to me, "Hey, Antonetta, did you want to join this program? If you join the program, you get a free month and I get a free month." And I'm like, okay. And that's what happened. I didn't wake up one day and be like, yo, I think I should lose weight. I think I should really focus on my health. It didn't do that. And it's the people around you. And by you just saying yes, changed my life. So that's how it happened. I started in 2016 just by saying yes to a friend of mine. And it went from there. About a year and a half later, I was able to shed the weight and change my life around. It's crazy how it all happened. Just by saying yes, Michelle. It's nuts.
Yes. Well, saying yes, but then obviously, taking action and sticking with it.
Yes,
because exactly. I'm sure that you have heard many stories of people joining weight loss programs and not not losing the weight,
right,
or losing it, and then of course the whole idea of it then coming back.
Exactly. And the reason why it stuck with me is because I think the number one thing a lot of people ask me is that, how did you do it? How do you stay motivated? How do you keep it off? And there's a couple of things that I want to say about that. And number one is I really surround myself with a lot of positive people. I really, eliminated a lot of negative people in my life, people that, constantly reminding me that I wasn't worth it and I wasn't good enough, right? And that eventually gets into your own brain and you believe that. The second thing is that I'm a goal setter. So, establishing small weekly goals on how to better my life every day, and me attaining those goals self-motivated myself. And that basically was the two major things that are the pivotal of why I'm successful, why I was successful, and can still continue to live a healthy lifestyle. So a lot of work mentally too, being motivated that way and changing my mindset and habits. But I think it's an infectious community, and that's what I've been building. That's what I've been doing.
Right. Yeah. So as you were saying, it's a lot about mindset, and I think that again, the negative self-talk that we have, and especially for women, because there's so much that so much pressure society puts on us, and so many of the societal standards out there, and the norms and everything.
Yes.
And then I am guessing that leads to emotional eating.
Yes.
And that's what I'm guessing is a lot of the is kind of, and then it's like, I think it's like anything else, right? You just kind of spiral into it, just like if you spiral into, you can spiral right into the whole fear, anxiety, and worry.
Yeah.
Fear.
Yeah.
So,
and what I say about that too is, I really reflected on why I started this journey. And the why needs to really make you cry, really. And I'll tell you why it's important is, I'll tell you one little story, and maybe a lot of your viewers can relate and can resonate with this, and hopefully it would inspire them, is, why you decided to make a change. And so one summer, I went out for my typical, half an hour walk. And that day I wanted to walk 5 kilometers, and I put my earphones on. And I remember it was the hottest day on the planet, Michelle. I was like, of all days for me to go outside, it's so hot. So I'm out there walking, and I have my earphones on, and I'm hot. I'm tired. I'm frustrated. And I was like, forget this. I'm like, I'm going to call somebody to pick me up. Like, why am I doing this? Like, I'm crying on Main Street, Stouffville, because that's where I live. I'm crying. I just want to go to my air-conditioned house and make myself a pot of popcorn and watch TV. That's basically what I wanted to do. And so then I asked myself, I said, why am I out here? Like, why am I doing this to myself? And I remember that the reason why I was out there was because the last time I went swimming was 16 years ago. And the reason why I didn't swim was because I was married to someone that told me every day that there is no way that I should be wearing a bathing suit, and that he was embarrassed of me. And I had a very abusive relationship emotionally and mentally. And he constantly reminded me that, I was unhealthy, and you should be ashamed of yourself, blah, 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 blah. So I didn't go swimming because I didn't allow myself, I was too embarrassed to do it. And the reason why I joined a weight loss program is because that was one of my reasons. It wasn't even had to do with diabetes. It was for me because I used to love swimming. And so that day I remembered how the water smelled, chlorine smelled like, how it would feel like on my skin, and how motivated I was to go swimming. And that day, instead of quitting and instead of doing 5 kilometers, I actually did 10 kilometers that day. And that was a major pivot in my life.
Wow.
It was crazy. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. That's an incredible story. And that's kind of, you hear so many stories like that.
Yeah.
That it is such a deep reason that, your why has to be so deep that it's going to turn you around to do it, to follow. So going back to what we were talking about before we got on camera here, and the whole shutdown, when we first got shut down back in March, you were you here for one thing, or were you traveling? I guess that's one question. But I know for myself, I felt like I was living in a movie or something. It was just seemed so foreign to me. And even though I knew about the virus back in February, when I had to go to my supplier because she was having trouble getting some of the components for the jewelry, and I wanted to stock up, I really didn't think it was going to come over to North America in the manner, to the extent it did. And when I heard the NBA suspending the season, it really hit me like, what is happening here?
Yeah.
What was your experience like at the beginning as well?
Yeah, like very similar to your story. So I did in-person classes. You know, I felt like I was part of City Pulse. I was everywhere. I was in Stouffville and Newmarket and Vaughan and Uxbridge, and I was just doing my thing every day. And, you know, my in-person classes gave me a lot of energy, and that's how I built my community. And all of a sudden, we shut down on March 16th. I made an announcement to all my members. I'm like, in-person classes will be suspended for 2 weeks. Everyone, not to worry. We got 2 weeks. Don't worry. We're just going to calm down for 2 weeks. We're going to do it online, everybody. I'm going to show you what Zoom is all about. We'll do it in our living room together. It's all good. 2 weeks. Don't worry, everybody. We'll be back to normal. And 2 weeks turned into 3 weeks, turned into 6 weeks. I'm like, oh my goodness. So I offered complimentary classes because I'm like, I'm not doing it in person. I'm not going to charge anybody. I just did complimentary classes. And by me doing that, and everybody was home, I actually expanded my viewership. So, you know, people heard about it. They jumped online. I did it upstairs in the living room with my little, you know, my little stereo and, you know, my little screen. And I just did it. Wi-Fi sucked some days, but, you know, we just did it because we're all home. And then I'm like, this is not going anywhere. Like, what are we supposed to do? And for 6 months, I offered complimentary classes. And then 3 months in, we built the studio in the basement. I invested in lights and audio and sound and all that stuff because I'm like, oh my God, I can't do it upstairs in the living room all the time. And so that was crazy. So that actually pushed me to reach the vision that I had originally, that I wanted to be global. And so it actually, you know, made me fast forward and do it quicker. And so everyone got used to online because nobody wanted to go anywhere. And then from me, in my little cute little bubble, I was able to offer it across Canada. So now I've got members from BC to Newfoundland, the United States, the UK, Australia, Peru. It's insane. And so now I'm able to build on a bigger community because at the end of the day, a body is a fitness class. I get it, but it's more than that. It's about everyone that jumps on. And listen, I'm a big promoter of you do you. I'm a big promoter of no judgment. You're not allowed to be perfect, and don't compare yourself, because I knew how it feels like when you jump into a group fitness class and Barbie was beside you and Ken, and you knew that they're looking at you, you'd be like, yo, you don't belong here. And so I make sure that everyone feels that they belong and that they're worth it, and they're enough. And so that's what we've built. It's more than a group fitness class. It's just a community of awesome people, and that's what makes it different. And that's what happened. It's insane.
Right. Yeah. And I think your story is very similar to a lot in that when you went on to Zoom and started doing these virtual classes, you offered complimentary.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of people, everybody came online and they thought, well, I can't charge for this. I'm online. I'm not in person. When did you realize that you can't do complimentary forever?
Well, I did it for 6 months.
Yeah.
You know, and responsibilities come every month, right? So I did it for 6 months. I did it as
6 months. Wow.
For 6 months. And you know, the community is so, I'm not going to get emotional. The community is so generous and so wonderful that people would give me, like, just send me money here and there and be like, you know, here's something to pay your hydro bill, or, you know, things like that. They were generous. They were able to keep me afloat. And then what happened was I invested into a software program and I did what I had to do. And I knew it wasn't going to go anywhere, like, in person. And so I just said, you know what, everybody, I'm really sorry, but I'm going to have to start charging a little bit. And so that's what I did. And so I made it as affordable as possible.
Right. Well, that's the thing. I think that like everybody came online at the beginning and everybody was offering free, you know, free, fitness classes, free webinars, free conferences. Everything was free. But obviously free doesn't pay the bills. So you can't continue that. It's not sustainable, but the whole idea at the beginning was like everybody's used to in person, and all of a sudden it's online, and you don't think that you are giving the same value, but the fact is you are. You know, and going back to how this set up your vision to creating what you really wanted to do. I think that this, I've said it all along, we're so grateful for this technology that we do have.
Yes.
And if this had happened 10 years ago, it would have been a whole different story, totally different story.
Yeah, a whole different story. And the technology, what we've done is it's actually helped me mentally, because a lot of my members have said, you know what, Antonetta, I'm really grateful for you and your community, because I don't think I would have been able to deal with what was going on. And it's just like, 45 minutes to an hour in the morning and at night, where they were able to speak to other people virtually, started building relationships online. And people would give people presents and notes and mail. They never met each other before. And now they're like best friends. And we are, and all of us are getting ready that once we can, we're going to like throw the biggest party on the planet. And that's, we're going to physically meet each other. So that's something that we're looking forward to. And then we're all going to go away. And we have so many visions in the future. And that's what's keeping us going. So it's fun. It's great. The community is crazy fun. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And everybody, so many people have had to adopt technology that may have been very hesitant before, or just, so many people didn't want to embrace technology, and we've had to. And also, I think it's really been very quick too, for the technology to develop and everything, and everybody to adopt it. It's because everybody had no choice.
Yes.
Whether, even if you're somebody who's working a corporate job and everybody had to come home, so everyone had to have virtual meetings, and that's been the way that we have operated. But like you were saying before, being able to expand it to be global, and the opportunities that are out there, even networking alone, there's been so many. I've been able to build relationships with so many people that I wouldn't have otherwise.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm grateful for whatever has happened this far. I mean, has it been challenging? Absolutely. But I always try to look at the positive thing from it. And I always do my gratitude journal every day. And I'm just so grateful for, who I've met and what I've learned, and how it's been remarkable. And, the number one thing that's helped me is knowing that we are better and stronger together. And that's what gets me through it all. So, yes.
Yeah, exactly. And we've seen that happen so much in terms of community building. When everybody came home, and all of a sudden kids were home from school, doing school online, and spouses might be, everybody working from home, and people were going for walks and going outside in nature because there was nowhere else to go except the grocery store. And so people were, talking to neighbors where they may not have sat around and had a conversation prior, because everybody was rush. And I know that was, for so many people, how we were living our lives was just, rushing off to the next appointment or rushing off to the next thing, and not actually having time to sit and be present with yourself.
Yeah. And a lot of entrepreneurs and businesses have actually changed a lot of the things that they do. So I know a lot of my friends are hairdressers, and now they don't work 7 days. They're like, I'm just going to do 4 days. Like, they really calm down. Do you know what I mean? Like, that fast pace is no longer for many of us. But just a lot of different perspective. So there's a lot of great things that has happened, and and we're trying to think of all the positive things that in the future what's going to happen. So I'm
right. It's also showing us it also magnified everything. So if there were issues beforehand, it really brought light to them. And also it caused us to take the distractions away, but also to look at these different areas and how we kind of just kept operating the same and the same and the same, especially when it goes around corporate. You said you came from a corporate background. I was in accounting for 20 years.
Wow.
And I was at the bank for 12. My last job was at bank down First Canadian Place. So I know, a lot of these systems and processes that they had in place were just like, when you would question them and they said, oh, we've always done it that way, that's the way we do it. And this has given us the chance to step back and look at things and, you know, question why did we have to do things a certain way.
Yeah.
And now so many people have seen the opportunity to come online and create something totally new.
Yeah.
And same with the people, you know, who have come out of corporate and working from home. Why do you have to drive in traffic and be stressed to go to the office to be there, you know, for certain hours?
Exactly. And we have to adapt to it, right? And so we have to learn that we need to keep our routine, like especially eating and drinking, just like you're at the office, and prepare your meals and do all that stuff. But I love it that you can have a workshop meeting on Zoom and your pajama bottoms are on, but you just put a nice top on, you're good to go.
Yes,
you don't even have to brush your teeth, Michelle. It's all good.
I have to add in that, make sure you have a nice necklace.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, no, it's there's also cons to the whole thing, because you're at home and you have to make sure that you have some way to distinguish your working time from your home time.
Yeah.
You know, but with the traffic and the transit, and I'm in Toronto, right? So like, you're guaranteed an hour if you're going to wherever.
Yeah.
And then add in winter, right? Add in the weather. And it's so nice that you can just join a workshop or go to a conference.
Yeah.
And you're just, you know, you don't have to drive. You don't have to drive, worry about parking, taking all that time.
Exactly.
And then, like I say, when it comes to winter, this is going to give us the option to join some networking events that you might have wanted to go, but you, like, I wouldn't necessarily want to go to an evening event in Stouffville if I have to drive from Toronto at 6 o'clock, because I know it's going to be a big mess.
Yeah.
And if it's, but if it's this way, sure, I'll just join.
And like, do you remember you have to fill your gas tank up every 3 days? Now I do it once a month.
Yes.
Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Little things like that, it just blows my mind away. It's nuts.
Yeah. And so just looking at everything, I mean, it's exposed holes in the healthcare system as well, in the long-term care homes and all that. And so hopefully that is, you know, something that they are starting to address. And that's something that was there before the pandemic. It's been there for years, but again, it brought light this. And the education system too, which is also something. And you know, I've always said it's certain areas it's archaic. I mean, you don't teach people some of the stuff that you're taught is it's memorization, and you're not taught life skills and important things that are going to help you further. So we have the chance to create something new now in so many manners. And if you think, what I was thinking the other day too, is like, all of a sudden in one day, I guess it was a couple days, but like everything was shut down, just like that. And so just flip that around to think of what you can create. And you know, when you talk about community, I think that this is something we need. You know, going forward, love and community are so important.
Very important. Very, very important. Knowing that you're not alone in the world, knowing that if you need something, there's people out there that will help you. That alone makes me sleep at night, and I don't feel alone. And knowing that, you're part of a community that just supports you, and just, if they can, they're right there to help you out. And so that is just a blessing in disguise. Community is really, really important. It makes it or breaks it.
Yeah, it does. Exactly. And I think that that's a focus that we're, community and collaboration is something that we're going to see going forward. No, there's no such a thing. And I never believed there was, you know, I never was concerned about competition, because everybody's unique. Everybody has their own uniqueness and their own people that are drawn to them. And it's not, you know, I think collaboration is something that's far more important that we should be looking at how can we collaborate, how can we work together. And again, it's all, we're all working together for the same thing, for a better world, better society. And
that's it.
and
No one's
and
better than the other. We're all just trying to live the best life possible. So might as well help each other do it. That's it. That's how I see it.
Yeah. And I think also just having the distractions removed and everything at the beginning, so many people realized, you know, you got the time to realize what's important to you.
Yeah.
And were you happy with the way you were living your life before?
Right? I know, like there's a lot of self-reflection. You know, like yeah, I find it not as crazy, you know, like just the driving alone was insane. But you know, I appreciate my hairdresser more, my esthetician, I love her dearly. You know what I mean? Like things like that, you appreciate people. And you know, when you shut down, you don't get those services. So now like I love them. I always tell them they're awesome. And so yeah, that's a big change. My
Oh
hairdresser.
yeah, that's true. That's true as well. And also just realizing the things you may have taken for granted before, like thinking that you know can go anytime to get your hair done.
Yeah.
And for us now in Toronto, right, they're closed again.
Closed.
So the hair salons and everything, and which is quite you know, challenging,
For
you know,
sure.
from a business perspective for sure. But I think again, before this, getting up, getting ready for work, doing that commute, I'm sure a lot of people have realized that this, you know, they weren't necessarily happy in their job or what they were doing, and taking a step back and thinking about what you can do. Because the one thing is, when everybody came online like that and everyone's offering webinars, workshops, all that stuff, anything you wanted to learn or focus on, you had the opportunity to do so. You know, anything you want to do, you can sharpen your skills and go on YouTube and whatever, and find all that information there to learn a new skill and learn, you know, whatever you're passionate about.
Yes. Yeah, no, for sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Our lives have changed and we're just adapting to the new change. The new norm is this. So we're doing our best to do it. And that's it. And we just got to work together and, you know, not focus on, oh man, I get, you know what I mean? All that negative stuff. So just focusing on like, okay, just be excited. You're going to learn something new and just be excited that this is how it's going to be. And then that's it. And then just move forward, because it takes a lot of energy to be so negative all the time. And life is short, man. Like you never know when your last day is up.
Yeah, no, totally. And the thing is that the fact is there's certain things you can't control. The virus, and the regulations and everything you're supposed to do to keep safe. You can't control any of that. So there's no point in resisting any of it. Just embrace what you can control, embrace what you can do, and think, what can I create? Because there's so many opportunities out there with this technology, and just the fact that we are now connected on such a global basis.
Yeah, we are.
That we can connect with anyone and create. And I mean, you know, I think that I've attended a lot of online conferences since we shut down, and I'm pretty sure that a lot of the organizers have realized that they will continue doing this online even when we go back to live events. Yeah. You know, perhaps have both options, and that just opens you up to more opportunity to have people attending from a global basis, or even people that don't want to drive to it necessarily.
The more options is key, because when I was able to open up when I could, because I would open up and then the government would be like, you got to shut down. I'm like, open up. So what I did was when I did in-person classes, I also live streamed it for those that don't live in my neighborhood. So I would do in person and live stream at the same time. So I was able to still offer it online and then do in person at the same time. So like, that's the new norm too. Like, that's just crazy. Like, I never would have thought that my business would be like that. You know what I mean? So it's just insane. I love it. It's great.
Yeah, exactly. And like you were saying beforehand, you love doing this online. and so even though you were doing the in-person events in the past, what's the plan going forward?
So the plan going forward is that the online will always remain online, because I've developed such different communities across Canada and the world. The online will stay the same. So, you know, when we're somewhat back to normal, do in person, I'll continue doing in person and online at the same time, because I invested in equipment that allows me to do that. And so, you know, people that do it online love the in person because it's a different energy, right? Because you hear the crowd and it's great. So they love it. So it's a win-win. Yeah, I'm pretty stoked about the future.
Yeah, I think that again, I think that that's what we're going to see for a lot of the conferences. We're going to have both options.
Yeah, both options. Why not?
Yeah, for sure. I'm still, you know, in terms of having products and everything, that's a bit more difficult to bring to online, because people can't touch and feel and try on the same way. So that's something that I think there's a lot of opportunity to innovate from that perspective, because I think there's also going to be a lot of change in terms of retail, right? Like retail's being hard hit by this too, and people do like the online shopping, but you still kind of need that touch, feel, try on aspect too.
You can create your own home shopping network. You know what I mean? And have different body types and see how it all turns on. You know what I mean? How they look on different people. I mean, you got to be creative and fun that way, right? A lot of people explaining how the texture is and how it feels like and all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's just like online shopping. Online shopping is blowing up right now. So
yes,
yeah, be creative.
Yes, it has. And I think there's, and from that perspective, I think there's also a big opportunity for delivery services.
Yeah.
Because right now, you know, Canada Post is taking long to deliver and everything. So I think there's a real opportunity for somebody to come up with some kind of you know, call it Uber delivery or something, you know, like something like that to help people out, because I think we're only going to, you know, online is not going away.
No, it's not. No.
And I think it's just been accelerated by this pandemic, and now it's just a matter of figuring out how to create new ways.
Yeah.
Really, new ways of being. Yeah. And I think, like you know, going back to what you're saying about community, so many people have had the chance to build so many relationships during this pandemic, and also having conversations that are much more meaningful than we might have had before. Like you know, when we would go to networking groups and you might talk about the weather or the drive there and more superficial things. Now people are having a lot more meaningful conversations over Zoom. So I think from that, you know, again, community building and deeper relationships are going to be key.
Yeah.
Most important.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's just do it. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And that's really been kind of my thing as well. Just when I started doing these in the first place, it was just start doing something, because really it's really pushed a lot of people into action.
Yes.
And so although we thought it was going to be short at the beginning, and now we see it continues and continues, so now it's, you know, create something that is going to serve everybody going forward.
Yeah, those 2 weeks are now almost 9 months.
And you know, and it's still going to be, you know, basically through the winter. We know that. Yeah. So yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me.
I had so much fun. You're awesome. Thank you so much. This is great. I love it.
Thank you. And I will put your information up underneath the interview when I put it up as well.
Thank you.
And I look forward to you know, when we can see each other in person some
That'd be great.
time in the future. All right.
Thank you, Michelle.
Okay. Thank you.